We are here for athletes that are good people. It's okay. Being a good person is cool. Like the voice of the Sacramento Kings, Mark Jones. He's a good guy. That's cool. And he joins us right now from an undisclosed location. Mark, it's Dave and Jay. Good morning.
Hey, fellas, how you doing, man? I appreciate the intro, man. Yeah, you know what? It's easier to stay a good person than a bad person, right? Fundamentally, theoretically, any way you want to think about it. But yeah, hey, I'm not so undisclosed. I'm gone, Dave. I've gone dark after summer league, but just on in South Florida right now, just doing a little cool down workout after a nice walk, and it's off to a good start today. So thanks for having me on.
Tough spot, South Florida. You deserve it, though. Little beach action there. You know, I say I disclose. I don't want to just give away your location. The next thing you know, by the end of the interview, everyone's hounding you for an interview. But I will ask you this, though, on that subject. We'll move on to the Kings. But, Mark, we were talking about Russell Wilson and how he was getting dragged for wearing his own jersey. It seems like every other week Russ Wilson's getting dragged for something. And my thing was, honestly, like, and I was being serious, like, I don't remember Russell Wilson doing anything other than marrying a beautiful woman, having children, raising a great family, and it's like LeBron even sometimes. And I know LeBron's a far more controversial guy, but, you know, what has LeBron ever done but come from poverty and raise a wonderful family and stay married and do all, like, why do we drag, and by we, I mean the royal we, Mark, why do we tend to drag people that are just cool, normal, you know, happy, good people?
Man, it's the old saying, this is why we can't have good things, right? Because at some point, man, people are going to nitpick and try and find warts where there are no warts. And like you said, you know, those are two great unfortunate targets. I mean, LeBron is, you know, he's only controversial and bad in the eyes of those who don't want to see justice and people raising themselves up to another level economically, socially, and otherwise in life. And I don't know what Russell Wilson has done to deserve it either. I think there's a mentality out there of people that we just want to find bad sometimes where there is none. It's you know, I think it comes down to an inability to handle success and a thinking somewhere in the recesses of our deep minds that things aren't always supposed to be good. You know, and that's the devil that we fight, I think, sometimes as media, as our country at large, you know.
It's well said.
It's weird.
It is weird. And one of these days, Mark, you'll have to indulge me. I've ever since you came here, I've always wanted, one of these days we got to do I'd love to spend a good amount of time with you, maybe doing an off-air thing or something, a podcast. I think it'd be nice to have a conversation about a lot of things in the world that I think you and I see eye to eye on, and a lot of things you could certainly teach me about. But you're right.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that. I'd love to do that too. I was thinking about the whole Kyler Murray thing yesterday and how he's a kid that, you know, got a new contract. We all know, and that clause is in there for him to do 4 hours of extra homework. Yes. And I'm thinking that puts out such a negative narrative on him as a quarterback, and especially as an African American quarterback. You know, I think about how, okay, why is that? That makes him look almost lazy and unwilling to do the work as a quarterback. He wouldn't be that talented. He wouldn't have been a number one pick if he wasn't that good to begin with. But then I think, geez, back in the day, Broadway Joe Namath was celebrated by the masses and the media for being a party animal in New York City and being seen with all these beautiful people around town and in clubs and smoking cigarettes and cigars after games. And, you know, Kenny Stabler was a quarterback that was celebrated by the masses and the media for being a beer-drinking dude that hung out by the jukebox and then went out and threw touchdowns on Sundays. But somehow Kyler Murray is interpreted different, and you got to put a clause in his quarterback, you know?
Is this a second? Mark, is it a second cousin to Lamar Jackson should be a wide receiver?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I can tell you a fact. I know the guys that recruited Lamar Jackson to Louisville, okay? The assistant coach that convinced Bobby Petrino to give him a scholarship had to talk to him for hours upon hours to let him play quarterback because Petrino didn't think he was a quarterback. And who was the first guy standing up, clapping for Lamar Jackson when he won his Heisman Trophy, Bobby Petrino.
Yeah. Small world.
Yeah, man, we got a ways to go. But hey, we're getting there.
Voice of the Kings, Mark Jackson, with us. Well, we can't. Did I say Mark Jackson? Wow, there you go. That's
I get worse things, man.
That's the most embarrassing thing I'll do all day. Jesus. Mark Jones with us.
Pass like him. I would shoot first.
You know what's funny?
Shoot first.
I was actually looking at it because we were talking. Here's exactly how that happened. Not that you care. We were looking at a list of the highest paid coaches in the NBA, and Steve Nash, I think, was third highest. Then I went into all-time assist leaders. I'm going through there. Just met Mark Jackson. Just went through Mark Jackson. By the way, would you have guessed? And I'm not getting into whether or not he deserves it or not. But if I'd said who are the top 4 highest paid coaches in the NBA, would Steve Nash have been on your list?
I don't think so.
Surprised me.
I don't think so. Yeah. That's a little bit of a shocker. It is.
When it comes to
what he went through last year, he didn't get paid enough, though.
No, oh my God, and that's the thing, and what they're still going through right now, and that's a whole different Donahue right there. When it comes to our local team, though, Mark, I always struggle with this. Last year, Davion Mitchell was co-MVP. Everyone, best defensive player in the history of the game. They won the summer league. Here we go. And not that Davion had a bad year at all. His year was just fine. It was great. But when you go to Keegan Murray now, second straight year, a King wins MVP. They didn't win the title, but still, we got what we wanted out of Keegan. How do you take summer league and bring that into the regular season? Do you put stock in it at all?
Yeah, I do. I think it's too easy to dismiss and discount summer league as just glorified pickup basketball. There's a lot of players who are anywhere between, I think, 7 and 15 on rosters that are playing in summer league. And when you go to summer league every year, as I have over the last decade and a bit, you realize that there's a lot of talented basketball players on the planet, and a lot of them are not in the NBA. So what Keegan Murray was able to do shouldn't be discounted, and him winning the MVP was great. I thought that he did what he was supposed to do. I thought he went beyond what he was supposed to do. I love the poise that he showed in, knowing that the first play of every game was going to be called for him, and setting his man up to get open. I like the fact that he played it at his own speed, and I think his most impressive game was that game that he played against Chet Holmgren, being able to, defend on the perimeter. And I think ultimately, guys, that's going to be the challenge for him is how does he guard wings who are a little bit shorter and a little bit quicker. You guys can use that. I got one more to go. Yeah. I'm sorry, Dave.
It's okay.
I got one more set of clean and press, and I think I just finished. Hey, I was losing my stinger quickly, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That was a flex. That was literally, that's one of the best casual flexes I've ever had on the show. I was just finishing my clean and press, dude. You can have that, guys. Well done.
I'm walking away from the bar right now.
Last thing, you were fantastic about a week ago. Twitter is always a blast. Just want to say on behalf of Sacramento, it's always nice to mix it up with other cities. I never understand it. Every city's got their own thing, but you had Sacramento and Detroit trying to flex on each other. You got in the middle with them clean and press muscles of yours, and well done.
You guys, I've never in my 32 years of covering the NBA with ESPN and the 4 years before that with TSN in Toronto, I've never heard of Sacramento described in that detrimental way.
Yeah.
Never. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know that it's always going to be top 10 in the league, but it's certainly not going to be bottom 5. Let me just I'll leave you with this. There's probably about 3 NBA cities that I'm booking the last flight in and the first flight out. And Sacramento has never been one of them.
Wow.
Never. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
One day over dinner, I'll let you know who those 3 are.
Yeah, we don't want to start that up again.
Guess, though.
That is the voice of the NBA, or the Kings and the NBA, and so much more. You see him all over the place during the season. No one works harder in this business, whether it's basketball, football, or so much more than our good friend Mark Jones. Mark, good to talk to you. Looking forward to seeing you here in just a couple months. Keep getting swole, walking the beach, and enjoying your off season.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, you guys take care, man. Keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. That's Mark Jones.
The great Mark Jones. JL